Hello there everyone and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Flyers Ed. Once again we are here with our instructor Mr. Pfister and we have a recap for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Flyers Ed is a lot more accurate to the academic experience than any of us could have anticipated. You see, the Kraken ate Gordon's homework. We had a very productive recording session, and we covered a lot of interesting flotsam that was unscripted and possibly lost forever, but we'll try to reconstruct it here. But over my voice right now, we're showing you a montage and highlight reel. We had an audio problem, and we recorded all of it only to discover that it was basically a Charlie Chaplin movie.
Yeah, exactly. All visuals, no talk.
Yep. What do you remember?
What
stood out?
We discovered. Well, I remember we learned a bit. We learned that the ship that we designed is a little short on fuel. Yep. The rescue craft, and also that we put the landing legs on the wrong part of the ship.
Well, if we were insisting on tweaking that design rather than just bringing fuel to it, it's on the wrong. What basically ended up happening is that the radial onion stage ran out of fuel, which normally would have been jettisoned, but we couldn't jettison it before landing because it was that radial onion stage that had the landing gear, which is what Gordon's talking about. It did successfully land with about, I want to say, 100 or 200 delta V to spare. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sounds about right.
We experimented with one or two other descent profiles. We weren't able to deviate much from that. Ultimately, what that tells us is that the design for the lander stage is fine. We actually screwed up on the lifter and insertion stage because we were borrowing from our payload fuel budget just to get it into lunar orbit. That's what ultimately happened.
Exactly.
So, we're going to transition here to the VAB and show what we came up with to get it taken care of.
Yeah. So the lander is currently in orbit around the moon, awaiting our new mission.
Yes. Welcome to Basic Fuel Depot, what we might want to call the Little Orange Pill.
Actually, I like that name. Perfect. Nice. I
not
approve.
Blue pill, not red pill, the orange pill. Let's get some decent camera angles while we talk. I'll go over the delta V numbers while you show the docking stage and like the aerial stage and that kind of stuff. We built this from the top down. There is no horizontal decoupler on the payload. That is a Clampetron Senior top and bottom. It has a built-in probe core, a basic battery, a very basic ring of 4 solar panels, an RCS, and a bottom docking port. There's an independent probe core on the delivery stage with, again, mono radial strapped power gen and power storage. This is designed to get a full 750 unit RCS plus full untapped orange tank into lunar orbit. We have the Clampetron Seniors top and bottom. We have the Clampetron on the foreground, and we have the Clampetron Junior on the background. It bears noting that our currently in need craft does not have a docking port, but it does have a claw, which will provide just as good functionality for what we're trying to accomplish. If we can right-click on the payload tanks, we'll see that they've been disabled. So we will not be allowed. Ultimately, for what we're doing, I anticipate throwing this into lunar orbit, and then off camera we'll put a duplicate in low Kerbal orbit. That'll allow for us to do more intricate things for purposes of demonstration for Flier Z. It really packs a wallop because it's a pretty decently stage 0, which includes the delivery stage. It's looking like, where the heck is the 62 tons. Disconnected at the Clampetron Senior. Let's see what the
in there.
Yeah, and what about the delivery stage? Disconnect the delivery stage.
There we go. Right. Good old. It won't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good old Kerbal. Here, just a second. We can. Fortunately, we have that lovely reloading feature. Oh no, gotta go 1. All right, we'll just ignore this Clampetron. So minus that. Really?
You gotta turn on the fuel.
That thing's really picky.
Yep.
So
we're talking about 40-ish tons of payload to lunar orbit.
Let's not take any risks. No sense in playing around with something that we've ripped apart.
No sense playing with fire. That's what the launch pad is for.
Exactly. So before we launch this thing, you mentioned before we signed off of our long session last time that there was a little bit of final tweaking we needed to do with the Delta V's on this thing.
Yes. Right now, this is a 6-way asparagus stage with a cutaway central stack that may or may not be visible from this angle, but in flight it'll be pretty damn decent. We're going to cut to the launch pad now, but before we get to the launch pad, Gordon and I are going to tweak the thrust limiter values, because what concerns me is that, for example, stage 4 on ignition, lights at 1.4, which is great, burns out at 1.73, and then after stage we're back at 1.41. So we're oscillating from 1.73 to 1.4, and then 188 to 1.4, and then 2.25 to 1.4. And this is the only downside to asparagus staging, because if it were linear staging or even onion staging, onion staging you get a little bit of it, but if it were linear stack staging, it's very easy to progress it and get it so that the stage 3 ignition is 1.73.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll burn up to, for example, 188, probably a little higher once we tweak it, and then have stage 2 catch it. The problem with this isn't as much a fuel efficiency problem, even though it does present fuel efficiency questions. It's launch stability. G-forces are one thing, but G-forces back and forth create a whole new set of problems. We have this thing strutted to shit pretty good, but as we start peeling those asparagus, we're going to be losing pairs of our struts, which means we're going to be losing structural integrity along individual lateral axes, which may or may not be fatal, but I'd like to reduce that from an engine design standpoint before we even test it the first time.
Okay, we'll flash up a quick shot of the final numbers before as we're in here somewhere, so that you can see what it looks like, and we'll see you in orbit, I guess.
Moonward.
Is that the plan? Okay.
Moonward.
Moonward. Alrighty. We're in orbit.
Welcome to orbit. Kerbal Station 1, as it may or may not come to be called. I don't care. We are going to go through an abbreviated post-flight checklist and prepare for inbound rendezvous. We are going to look at our resources. Our electric and our monopropellant both appear to be useful. Let's do an inventory of our payload.
Okay. We have 100% of our Rockomax fuel.
Yep.
We have 100% of the maneuvering RCS for the station.
Yep.
In the lower tanks, we have still 3/4 of the monopropellant tanks left.
Yep.
And about 1/3 of a tank of the launch tank. About 1/3 of the launch tank left.
Let's hibernate the poodle and manually shut it down.
Okay. Like so.
All right. And let us go into a parking orientation. Let's control from here from the forward senior port.
Okay, you control from here. I think that's where it's actually being controlled from for all intents and purposes.
Yes. Let's orient to the normal node. Do you remember where the normal node is before looking on the nav ball?
That's normal.
Let's go up to maps.
90 degrees to our orbit.
Which is what?
Jeepers. That'd be. We need to orient it to the 0 line, and it's rotating at toward. I just can't 0. It's 0 on both axes, isn't it? So the.
Good. We're going to run it parallel to the axis of rotation of the planet below. So we are currently moving in the correct direction. We're looking for where the north line meets the horizon line.
Yeah, we're just about there because they mark it in that lovely orange color so it's easy to see with an N on it.
Why isn't the normal node visible on this nav ball?
Possibly because it hasn't been activated. There we are.
No. I don't know if the default 0.25 has the normal and radial nodes, but I know the enhanced nav ball. Let's open up the enhanced nav ball interface. Up on top.
It's this guy right here.
Enable and enable. Enable both.
They're both on now.
Whatever. All right, we're going to close that. Kill RCS. Enable SAS.
Done.
F5.
All right.
And we're done. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Yeah, sounds good. And welcome back. Our second orange pill is now launching.
While Gordon monitors the staging, I'm going to bring the audience's attention to the nav ball. We have targeted Kerbal Station 1, and at ignition, it was just above the leftmost horizon. We are perhaps... Well, to say if we're late or early depends on your definition of what you're looking for. If you're looking for a straight launch to rendezvous, we were probably a few minutes down. But that's fine, because whether you're early or late, all that determines is your parking orbit altitude while you await a rendezvous. Because we were a little bit late, we need to catch up. Because we need to catch up, are we going to orbit at a higher altitude or a lower altitude, Gordon?
A lower altitude, because the orbital period will be shorter.
Very good. That's one of the benefits of having a standard parking orbit of 100 kilometers. You can go underneath that and still be outside of the atmosphere. There are things to be said about having your standard parking orbit at 125, 130, or 150. The reason that sometimes is beneficial, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, is that above, I want to say 120, you have access to higher time compression, higher time acceleration. So if you were to park underneath a 150-kilometer orbiting station, you could park at 125 and still have access to 100x.
Yeah. So what apoapsis are we moving to horizontal at?
We are moving to horizontal after apoapsis 65.
Okay. Things are coming along quite nicely. We'll do this orbital burn should be a little more efficient than the last one.
All right. And I think we can cut.
Okay, see you when we finish this orbital burn. Welcome back. We had a minor glitch in our launch after we cut.
No, we had an educational opportunity in our launch. This is Flier Z.
This is true. We had both of them.
Yes.
An educational minor glitch.
Under chapter subheading, let that be a lesson for you. We are in a highly elliptical, slightly suborbital orbit that would eventually decay back to the surface because our periaps is at 66.6, the number of the Kraken. So while the instinct is very valid to revert to launch, we're going to use this as an opportunity to work with phase angles and rendezvous. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a rendezvous in this episode, and then in the next episode, we're going to perform the rendezvous. For fuel efficiency's sake, we're going to do as much as we can at the apses. So let's plot a node at the apoapsis.
Okay. So the apoapsis, we need to get it obviously out of the atmosphere.
Yeah, so give me like 5 prograde. What does that give us?
72.
That gives us 72. What will bring it up to 80?
Probably about another... maybe one more. There we go. Done.
All right. Scratch that. Bring it back down to 7.4.
Okay.
That's a number I just pulled out of my pancreas.
75.
We are going to apply this 7.4 meters per second prograde delta V at the apoaps. That's going to solve our orbital decay problem, and it's going to literally buy us infinite minutes to figure out how we're going to complete the rest of this. So we're going to set an alarm.
Yep. Alarm clock on. Add.
We are going to inflate our nav ball size.
Yes, indeed. Big nav ball. SAS
We're
off.
going to maneuver. Yep.
Already on our way. No problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the plan from here?
We're going to execute this burn. Then we're going to plan a node at the new periaps. We're going to at least partially circularize so that our orbit is entirely underneath our target.
Okay. Sounds good.
Or mostly underneath the target, now that I think about it.
Okay, done. So let's time warp. Because good old Kerbal alarm clock will take care of everything else.
It should if it knows what's good for it.
Yep.
We'll moidalize it.
There we go, and it's a 1 second puff of smoke to get us over this mark.
Nope. Let's F5 for safety.
Indeed. This is one of those situations where a few extra meters per second is not going to be the end of the world.
That's correct.
It will forgive us. The game will.
Let's hope.
Oh yeah. It loves the Kraken just loves to make our lives interesting, doesn't it? It's a great little joke. Yeah,
At T-8 or so, let's start puffing.
Yeah. Here we go. Just give me a little more. Okay, getting ready to cut.
There you go. Cut.
Okay.
Kill node.
Done.
F5. Map.
Second. And setting a maneuver at our periapse, and it will be a retro.
Yep.
About 10 at a time, you think?
Something tells me we're going to end up at like between 30 and 50 negative. So. Oh no, a lot more than that.
Yeah, There we are. One more, or is that good?
Go down to single digits. Give me neg 104. Down. Negative 104. I like it.
It's a pretty close approach, actually. If once our orbits match up, that'll work pretty
What makes you think it's a close approach?
It'll be a close approach eventually because of the we go lower and then we come up to a point where it's the orbits are matched. Eventually, they're going to come close to each other. That's just how orbits work. It just might take a couple years.
Let's. This is neg 104.1. Show me neg 110.
There you go.
115.
There we go.
Let's fly with this.
Okay.
We're going to set an alarm.
There we are, and there we are. Okay, and time warp is on.
Run!
So 26 seconds burn. Must admit, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about the time warp overshooting on us.
Nope. And we are passing over KSC.
Hey, nice. Oh, there we go. Final adjustments.
I suggest beginning now.
It's only a 26-second
SAS,
burn. Are we just...
SAS.
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you. Give it a little more juice here.
Call the ball.
All right.
Aim for apoapse between 75 and 90.
Kidoki.
Kill the node.
Kill the node?
Yes.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Let's restore the nav ball.
Yeah.
Save.
Already done.
Map view. And give me an anti-normal projection. Targeting Kerbal Station 1. Alright, so this is... a plot of our tracking. Why don't you point out with your mouse cursor for the viewers where we are and where the station is?
Yeah, so the little orange pill that we're flying is right here. And Kerbal Station 1 is just coming up to the top of the screen right now. I've got it highlighted with all its stats right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
On Kerbal Flight Engineer, pull up Rendezvous, RDV.
Okay, which
Kill
one
vessel
should I get?
Kill vessel, leave orbit.
Okay. Oh, hey, what?
Display.
Go away.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. Station.
Kerbal Station 1.
Oh,
all
they've
right.
improved this.
Some new details. I'm just going to hide the resource panel for a minute so that we can see this thing.
So we are at a phase angle of 60 some odd degrees and closing. Our intercept angle, so we're going to want to intercept at an approximate phase angle, if I'm reading these numbers correctly, and I might not be, of approximately 5.2 degrees.
Okay, would you mind explaining phase angles?
Phase angles are talking about rendezvous windows. These two artificial satellites around Kerbin have the same mutual orbital interaction properties as Kerbin and Moho, for example, or Joule and Dres.
Okay,
where...
can I...
Good.
So if I just to take a guess, just to go completely out, when you pick the time to depart, is this like when you pick the time to depart to go to, say, Duna, for the what's it called, a Hotsman transfer or something, a transfer window?
Holman transfer. Yes.
A Holman transfer. This is the similar concept to what we're doing here.
This is the raw observational data that Holman transfer windows are predicated upon. Yes, a transfer window is the result of the calculations. This is looking at the raw data that feeds those calculations. Inaccuracies in the raw data, inaccuracies in the design, impurities in the fuel, piloting errors in the burn plots, etc., will all contribute to error accumulation in the transfer calculations. But this is the raw data that's used. Cool. Relative inclination, you said earlier tonight we're at approximately 0.3 relative inclination. And this gives us a lot of very useful info that will make our rendezvous in the next episode much easier to accomplish.
Neat. All right. Well, it's been an interesting... Class dismissed. Thank you all very much for watching. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye for now.